Next issue is this is more about the fixed costs. This doesn't really have much to do with fixed costs versus marginal costs, but this is an issue of the 10-ton turkey. And the 10-ton turkey is a pathology of high fixed costs. And what a 10-ton turkey is it's a very expensive media product that makes no money. And one of my favorite examples of this is Basic Instinct 2. Okay, you're too young to remember this. The original Basic Instinct made so much money they didn't know where to put it. Okay, I mean, this movie was just unbelievably profitable, and it made Joe Esterhaus, of all people, the highest paid screenwriter in Hollywood, even though he was semi-literate. I mean, Joe Esterhaus, can barely string two syllables together, but because he wrote Basic Instinct, which was phenomenally profitable, he got offers for all sorts of movies, and he got paid a record amount. He got paid the highest amount for a screenplay. I believe it was $5 million for Showgirls, which is universally agreed to be one of the worst movies ever made. And in fact, the DVD release that came out recently has people on the audio commentary making fun of it. So the producers of Showgirls realized that it's so awful that the only way people are going to watch it is as awful. People are only going to watch it to make fun of it. Anyway, so nonetheless, because Basic Instinct made so much money, they made Basic Instinct 2. And the thing is that they did not know that Basic Instinct 2 was going to fail at the beginning. When they first signed the deal, when somebody first got the idea, hey, let's make a sequel, they didn't know that it was going to lose something like $70 million. It cost about $70 million to make. It made, I think it only made like $500,000. I don't think it even broke $1 million. But nonetheless, it lost a ton of money. Now, when they first got the idea, hey, let's make a sequel to Basic Instinct, they didn't say, because we got $70 million we don't know what to do with, it would be more fun to make this movie than to simply burn the money. They weren't thinking that. They were thinking that they would make a profit. Now, the issue with the 10-ton turkey is that these guys are not so stupid that the day before the release, they're shopping for real estate to buy new mansions. They knew that it was going to suck at some point. The question is, when did they know it was going to suck, and how sucky did they think it was going to be at that point, right? So if you imagine, and the issue is that even if they knew at some point that it would lose money, it could make sense to dig themselves deeper into the hole. And I'll explain how. Once they were committed, it made sense to keep going, to make the film make several major decisions. So let's say that this is kind of a simple... These numbers are kind of made up, but they're basically accurate. I mean, I haven't read... I don't know their accountant, I don't know exactly how much these things are. These are ballpark figures I made up, but they're in the right ballpark. So let's say that they paid $2 million for the script. Now, at this point, they've got to think that the movie's still good. If you paid $2 million for a script, you know that you've only paid, 4% of the total cost of the movie. So if the script is terrible, you're going to, throw away the script or at least have it rewritten. You're not going to just keep making the movie because you figure, well, we paid $2 million. So at this point, they've got to actually still have some faith in the movie. The next thing they did is they signed a deal with Sharon Stone. Now, Sharon Stone was associated with the first movie, and they figured that they couldn't make a real sequel. I mean, they could make some bullshit direct-to-video sequel without her, but they couldn't make a real sequel without Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone is not stupid. She knows this. So she says, fine, you're going to pay me $20 million. And she does something else that's very clever. She has what's called a pay-or-play contract. That means that basically the producers can't back out. They have to pay her whether or not they make the movie. So once they sign this pay-or-play contract, they've basically written her a check. Even though they haven't actually written her, they're contractually obligated to write her a check at some point, even if they don't make the movie. So once they sign this deal with Sharon Stone, which they considered absolutely essential to make the movie, now they're out $22 million. Okay, let's say that after they've signed Sharon Stone, they read the script and they think, this ain't looking so hot. This isn't going to be the success that we thought it was going to be. This isn't going to make $250 million like the first one did. And let's say that they accurately know. Let's say that they know that they got $20 million plus $10 million plus $15. Let's say they know that they have $45 million yet to spend before they see dime one. How much money would they have to estimate that the movie is going to make in order for them to keep going and say, yes, let's spend the next $45 million? $45 million and a penny. As long as they think that the movie is going to make $45 million and a penny, it makes sense to spend another $45 million. Now, if they think it's going to make less than $45 million, it makes better sense to treat the $22 million as a write-off, to say, well, we blew it. That's it for us. But as long as they think they're going to make $46 million, it makes sense to keep going, even though they know they're going to lose money. If they figure that the movie is going to make $46 million and is going to cost a total of $67 million, 45 plus 2 for the script and 20 for Stone, they know that they're going to lose $22 million, right? But it makes sense to keep going because they've already lost $22 million. The question is, what is at the margin from this point forward? Well, that $22 million, it's water under the bridge. It's spilt milk. Let's not worry about that. Where do we go from here? Do we spend the next $45 million or not? As long as they think they're going to make 40, they don't have to think they're going to make the whole 67. They just have to think that they're going to make 45, and they keep going. Okay, so they say, okay, we're not going to make $100 million. We're only going to make $50 million, but on the so we're actually going to lose money. But on the margin, from this point forward, that's still $5 million profit. So yeah, let's keep going. Basically, at this point, they're thinking better to lose $17 million than to lose $22 million. You could think of it that way. So they say, fine, let's shoot this thing. So let's say it costs them another $20 million to do the principal photography, to actually run the cameras and have the actors and everything, to actually shoot the movie. Now they're looking at the dailies. And they're thinking, man, this sucks. This movie is really awful. These dailies are just awful. How much money would the movie have to make? And they know that it's going to cost them another $10 million to edit it and do the sound and everything like that, and the special effects, that's post. And then they figure that once they do the post, once they have the first copy of the movie, it's going to cost them at least $15 million to advertise it, make copies of the movie, and ship it to movie theaters. So they got another $25 million ahead of them. They've already spent $42 million, but they know that they got another $25 left to spend. And they're looking at these dailies. The movie's not edited yet, but they have the dailies, basically the raw footage. And they're looking at it and they're saying, man, this sucks. How bad would it have to suck for them to just burn the dailies and walk away from the project? How much money would they have to estimate that it's going to make for them to just burn the dailies and walk away from the project? Less than 25, right? As long as it makes more than 25, it makes sense for them to keep going. Now, let's say they do the editing. They edit the movie, they hire a composer, they score it, they do the special effects, whatever. And now they have a complete motion picture. You can actually sit down and watch it in your screening room. And they say, oh my God, this is even worse than we thought. This is just unbelievably bad. It's even worse than it looked when we saw the dailies. I'm going to shoot that editor. How much money do they have to estimate that it's going to make for them to say, let's distribute it, versus how much money would it have to say, to hell with it, let's just do direct-to-video? $15 million, right? If it's going to make more than $15 million, it makes sense to still ship it to the theater. Less than $15 million, to hell with it, direct-to-video. Let's burn this. Now, it turns out that they were wrong at every single stage, But the thing is that they were wrong by a smaller margin when they decided to still ship it to theaters and advertise it instead of putting it direct-to-video than when they decided to actually shoot this awful script, right? They were really wrong when they decided to shoot this awful script, but they were only a little bit wrong when they decided to actually ship it to theaters instead of going direct-to-video. So that's the thing, is that as you get more information, it's a lot easier to tell whether a movie's going to be good if you're seeing the final cut. I think almost any one of us could tell whether a movie's going to be successful if somebody were to pull us aside and say, here's the movie, here's the DVD. Go watch this in your dorm room tonight. Tell me if you think it's going to be successful. I think almost any one of us could have a reasonably good guess about that. I think very few of us could sit down and read a screenplay and tell if it's going to be a good movie. I certainly couldn't do that. I bet, almost none of you could. That's really hard. Likewise, I bet few of us could tell just by watching the dailies, just by watching the raw footage, is this going to be a good movie? It would be a lot easier, though, looking at the dailies and telling if this is going to be a good movie than it would be reading the screenplay. So as they get more information about how awful this movie is going to be, that would give them more information that they should pull the plug. But as they get more information, it becomes less marginally costly to pull the plug, right? If they pull the plug at the beginning, they're saving themselves, what did we say, 45? Yeah. They're saving themselves like $60 million, whereas if they pull the plug at the end, if they say send it direct to video, they're only saving $50 million. So as they get more information about why they should say no, it becomes easier to say yes. Okay? This is how 10-ton turkeys get made. It's not that, people think when they made the prints and promotion, when they decided to advertise and ship it to theaters, it's not that they still thought it was going to make $200 million. They're not that stupid. They're stupid, but not that stupid, right? So they were only $15 million stupid. They weren't $200 million stupid. Back up there, when they bought the script, they were $200 million stupid. When they decided not to do it direct to video but to ship to theaters, they were only $15 million stupid. That's how you can end up having these awful movies.